Vanessa's first love had found his way back into her life. And somehow, she let him into ours. She even gave him my pajamas. The same set she once insisted I wear, even when I said it didn't suit me. I watched from the hallway, frozen, as she gently towel-dried his hair, her movements soft, almost tender. In that moment, it hit me, Vanessa wasn't cold and distant with everyone. Just with me. I wasn't supposed to be home yet. I'd cut my business trip short after hearing she had a dinner event tonight. Didn't tell her. I thought I'd surprise her. She hadn't been feeling well, kept complaining about her stomach. I wanted to take her to the doctor. So I came back early, hoping to catch her before she left. Turned out the surprise was on me. When I opened the door, the lights in the living room were already on. She was home. I called out her name. No response. Then I heard it, the low hum of a blow dryer coming from the bathroom. I followed the sound, stepped closer, and stopped. There she was. And he was there too, a man I'd never seen before. But the clothes he had on? I recognized them instantly. They were mine. Or rather, the ones Vanessa had bought for me a few weeks ago. I'd told her they didn't really suit me. She'd snapped, then don't wear them if you don't want to. But of course I wore them. When she did something for me, I accepted it, always, without question. And yet, seeing those same clothes on him now, they looked better on him. As if they'd always belonged to him. Not me. That thought alone made my fists clench, tight and involuntary. The man stood facing Vanessa, his hair still damp. She was on her tiptoes, holding the blow dryer above his head. "Lower your head a little," she said softly, her voice so gentle it barely carried. Then she let out a playful complaint. "Geez, why are you so tall?" The man chuckled under his breath, quiet and low, but obediently bent down, leaning in so she could reach him better. Through the half-length mirror, I caught a glimpse of Vanessa's face. She was smiling. Not that forced, polite curve of the lips I'd grown used to. No, this smile reached her eyes. It was warm. It was tender. Tenderness. On Vanessa. God, it was blinding. We'd been together 5 years, from the day we met to the day we married. And in all that time, Vanessa had always been distant. Cold. Not just with strangers, but with me too. Nothing ever seemed to move her much. Not joy, not anger. Even when she smiled, it rarely lit up her eyes. I didn't mind, though. People are wired differently, and I'd chosen her, so I accepted all of her, the good and the difficult. At least she treated me differently than the rest of the world. Or so I thought. But now I looked at her, and I wasn't sure I was anything more than just another stranger. Leaning against the doorframe, my thoughts were a mess, but I forced myself to get a grip. I knocked, twice, on the half-open door. "Sorry to interrupt, you too." The moment shattered. Whatever soft, hazy spell they were under broke instantly. They both turned toward me. The man blinked, confused at first. Then his expression shifted, recognition dawning in his eyes. He raised an eyebrow. Then he smiled. Not a friendly smile. It was the kind that carried just a hint of provocation. A challenge. Vanessa, on the other hand, jumped at the sound of my voice, startled enough that she nearly lost her balance. She let out a gasp. The man caught her instinctively, slipping an arm around her to steady her. My hand, halfway raised to help her, froze midair. She looked at me, brow furrowed. "Why are you home early?" I drew my hand back and folded my arms across my chest. "Oh, sorry, did I ruin the mood? Tell me, were you two already in bed? Or just on your way there?" Her face darkened in an instant. "Don't be disgusting," she snapped. With a loud thud, I dropped my suitcase to the floor. Then maybe take a good look at what you're doing. A man and a woman, alone in a bathroom? Ethan. She looked furious now, eyes wide, chest heaving, glaring at me like I was the one who'd crossed a line. That's when the man, who had been quietly watching the whole time, suddenly stepped forward. He moved in front of Vanessa, shielding her like some kind of protector. "You've got it all wrong," he said, voice calm but laced with judgment. "There's nothing inappropriate going on. Vanessa and I are just friends. The way you're speaking to your own wife, it's out of line." "Out of line?" I gave a short, bitter laugh. "If you're gonna lie, at least have the decency to let go of my wife's hand first. Or is it that you like the feel of it? Soft, isn't it? Nice to touch? Getting off on it, are you?" His expression changed, fast. "If you've got a problem with me," he said through gritted teeth, "say it. But don't talk about Vanessa like that." "Oh? What did I say?" I shot back, eyes locked on his. "Too crude for your delicate sensibilities. You two might not say it out loud, but you sure as hell act on it." He stepped forward, jaw tight, fists clenched, but Vanessa reached back, grabbed his arm, and yanked him behind her before he could get closer. "Both of you, shut up." Vanessa's voice cracked through the air like a whip. The man bristled. "You're just gonna let him accuse us like that?" I snorted. "What do you expect her to do? Cuss me out? Hit me for you?" That'd really help clear things up, especially since, last I checked, she's still legally my wife. I stepped forward, just enough to twist the knife. "Or better yet, why don't you both grow a spine and just admit you're in love? I'm a generous guy, I'd be happy to step aside for true love." "Shut up." Vanessa snapped again, grabbing my wrist and dragging me away. "We need to talk. Now." I didn't resist. But as she pulled me down the hall, I glanced over my shoulder and offered the man a grin. "Make yourself at home." She hauled me into her bedroom and slammed the door behind us with enough force to rattle the frame. Vanessa was usually composed, always in control. But not tonight. Tonight, she looked like she was hanging on by a thread. I glanced at the bed. Perfectly made. Not a wrinkle in sight. I clicked my tongue. Huh. Looks like I showed up just in time. Didn't even get to mess up the sheets yet, did you? Stop it. Her eyes flared with rage. Do you have to be this cruel? You weren't like this before. I let out a soft laugh. Oh. And what exactly was I like? Quiet? Tolerant? The kind of guy who'd swallow betrayal without a word? I took a step closer, eyes locked on hers. Well, surprise, I'm not that guy. This is the real me. Shocking, isn't it? She drew a long breath, visibly trying to collect herself. I'm not doing this with you right now. I don't want to fight. Daniel is an old classmate from college, he just got back from France. He doesn't have a place to stay tonight, so I let him crash here. That's it. Don't make a scene. I looked at her. Really looked at her. And all I felt was disappointment. This is what you dragged me in here to say? Vanessa said nothing. But that silence said everything. And just like that, the last bit of hope I had left in me began to slip away. I'd followed her in here because, stupid as it was, I still wanted to believe there was a reason. A real explanation buried beneath all the things I didn't want to see. But clearly, I'd been fooling myself. I see. So he's staying here? No problem. Make yourselves at home. I turned to leave. Vanessa grabbed my wrist hard. Where are you going? I stared at her, stunned. What, were you thinking the three of us would sleep together tonight? Sorry, I'm not into that. Her grip tightened, nails digging into my skin. I winced from the sting. "What the hell is wrong with you?" she snapped. I yanked my hand free. "Me? You're asking what's wrong with me? Have you looked at yourself lately? God, don't make me sick." I reached for the door, ready to leave. That's when I saw Daniel standing there. Gone were the borrowed pajamas. He was now dressed in a crisp, tailored suit, trying hard to look composed, but there was something cracked behind his smile. "I should go," he said to Vanessa, voice low. "I don't want to cause more trouble." Then he turned to me. "You've got this all wrong. These are yours, your pajamas. Here." He held them out toward me. But as he let go, I took a step back. The clothes dropped limply to the floor. I looked at him with cold detachment. "What, you want points for that? Trash belongs in the trash. Dropping it at my feet doesn't make it a gift." Vanessa's head snapped up. Her eyes locked on mine, stormy and unreadable. Then, she said something that made my stomach twist. "Don't go. Stay here." Daniel's face lit up, just for a second. Then it faltered. "That's probably not a good idea," he said hesitantly. Vanessa cut him off. "Don't argue. I said stay. Otherwise go book a hotel. You really think you'll sleep well in a place like that?" He let out a slow sigh. "You always knew me best." The way they talked, so casually, like I wasn't even in the room, made my skin crawl. I didn't say another word. Just picked up my suitcase, turned, and walked out the door without looking back. I rushed down the stairs, barely able to keep my footing. A sharp gust of wind hit me the second I stepped outside. It cut through my clothes, and I shivered, violently. Then came the wave of nausea. Thick and sudden, it crawled up my throat until I doubled over, dry heaving onto the pavement. Was it grief? Anger? Betrayal? I couldn't tell anymore. The emotions tangled together, indistinguishable, messy, raw. All I knew was that I was unraveling. Whatever calm I'd managed to fake upstairs had shattered completely. And now, standing alone in the cold, all I could feel was the weight, crushing and absurd, of what had just happened. Vanessa. Of all people, Vanessa. Cheating was never something I thought I'd associate with her. It didn't fit the image I had of her, controlled, rational, above the drama. But then again, people used to say things. "You better watch out," they'd warn me. When the woman's the powerful one, and the man's not, that dynamic, it gets dangerous. Men with money cheat. Women with power? Same thing. You just don't see it coming. I never knew how to respond to that. It didn't offend me. Because, well, Vanessa was more accomplished than I was. That wasn't opinion. It was fact. But I trusted her. Truly, deeply, foolishly, I believed in her. I believed that even if we had our differences, even if we hit some rough patches, we'd never spiral into this. Not because of love. But because of character. I thought she had that. Turns out, reality had been waiting with an open palm. And it slapped me clean across the face. "Vanessa, what the hell are you doing? And Daniel, who is he, really?" Still shaking, still trying to breathe like a normal person, I made my way back to the old house. Somewhere in the cluttered storage room, I remembered, there was an album. A photo album Vanessa had once received back in college. It was a gift, personal, thoughtful. The kind someone spends time on. Inside were pictures of her, some candid, some posed. Some alone. Some with friends. I'd asked her once who gave it to her. She said it was from a classmate. Someone who liked you? I hadn't said it as an accusation. Just a guess. After all, people don't go to that kind of effort unless they care. She didn't deny it. Just gave me a soft, quiet, That honesty. I'd appreciated it. Didn't push further. Didn't pry. Because I believed then, and maybe I still do now, that what truly hurts isn't what happened in the past. It's how you handle the present. The old house wasn't far, just a 20-minute drive. Compared to the sleek, modern place we lived in now, I always preferred this one. Vanessa and I had spent 2.5 years here, back when things were simpler. We didn't move out until after we got married. Whenever life felt too heavy, I'd come here. This house had a way of grounding me. Calming me. But tonight was different. Tonight, I walked through that door feeling wrecked. For the first time, even this place couldn't fix me. I headed straight for the storage room and found the photo album almost immediately. Vanessa, back then, looked young, still a little rough around the edges. She wasn't exactly cheerful in those photos, but there was something raw and unguarded about her expression. A certain light in her eyes. That kind of untouchable energy people have before the world grinds it down. Many of the shots looked like they were taken without her knowing, her face often angled just enough to suggest she didn't pose for them. Among the few frontal photos, one stood out. She was in her graduation gown. Stoic. Composed. Classic Vanessa. There were group shots, some with girls, some with guys. I studied each one carefully. Then I turned to a particular page, and froze. This one was different. In the photo, two people stood side by side, bodies close, too close to be casual. His arm brushed hers, and he leaned slightly toward her with an easy, open smile. She didn't smile. But her fingers clutched at the edge of his sleeve, nervous, almost possessive. Even after all these years, even with the changes in his face, I recognized him immediately. Daniel. I flipped the photo over. Two names written in neat pen, Vanessa, Daniel. Between them, someone had drawn a tiny heart. The sound of construction upstairs dragged me out of sleep. For a few seconds, I couldn't place where I was. My head felt like it was full of fog. Then it came back to me. The album. The photo. The heart. The old house. I must have dozed off on the couch last night, too drained to move, too numb to care. Someone was sitting across the room. Watching me. Her gaze was steady, unflinching, impossible to ignore. Vanessa. She was here. I wasn't surprised. Once, after a fight, I stormed out and ended up here at the old house. I hadn't been there more than an hour before she showed up at the door. How'd you know I was here? I asked her then. She didn't hesitate. Where else would you go? She was right. There was nowhere else. I didn't have anywhere to go, not really. I'm an orphan. Vanessa, she gave me a home. People used to ask her why she didn't sell this place. Leave it, she'd say. In case someone needs to disappear for a while. My feelings for Vanessa had always been complicated. Love, yes. But also gratitude. She was the anchor I never thought I'd have. I really believed we'd coast through life together. Nothing flashy. Just steady. Quiet. Ours. I sighed, pushed myself up from the couch, and headed to the bathroom to wash my face. By the time I came out, Vanessa had brought breakfast. I didn't say anything. Just sat down and ate, not bothering with politeness. When I was done, I looked up at her. The photo album still sat in plain sight on the table. So, I said. His name's Daniel? He's your ex? Vanessa nodded. Yes. I held her gaze. What are you doing, Vanessa? Bringing your ex into our home? Letting him wear my clothes? Drying his hair like some tragic romance reunion scene? What are you trying to prove? That you never moved on? She didn't flinch. Believe it or not, nothing happened between us. I shook my head. I don't believe you. Her expression hardened. But she didn't argue. She just stared back, face unreadable, jaw set tight. After a long silence, Vanessa rubbed her temples, then placed 2 receipts on the table in front of me. He stayed at the house last night, she said quietly. I checked into a hotel. Here's the proof. If you want, I can pull the security footage. Nothing happened between us. That's the truth. I didn't bother looking at the papers. If Vanessa had the nerve to put them in front of me, they weren't fake. I just said, so he stayed here, and you went to the hotel? That logic's a little hard to follow. He's a light sleeper. Has OCD. Can't handle hotels, she replied. He told you that? I asked. Or did you just intuit it, like the empath you suddenly are? Her eyes narrowed. Cut the sarcasm. Talk to me like a normal person. But the weight of everything was crushing now. Every moment, every detail, pressing in from all sides. And I'd had enough. I want to talk like a normal person. But did you? When you brought him here? When you let him wear my clothes and made excuses for why he couldn't handle a fucking hotel? I slammed my hand against the table. What is he, royalty? The man can't sleep on a mattress with a minibar? Tell me, Vanessa, why is he the one you go out of your way for? Her face went pale, then flushed red. She shot to her feet like I'd struck a nerve. I left, didn't I? I didn't share a bed with him. I told you nothing happened. What the hell more do you want from me? Her voice was loud, echoing off the walls like distant thunder. And in that moment, it felt like every word, every defense, only made it worse. My head spun. My body swayed. I gripped the edge of the table just to steady myself. Then I said it. Calmly. Coldly. Finally. I want a divorce. Vanessa froze. Then her face changed completely. Her voice dropped, trembling through gritted teeth. Take that back. Right now. We stared at each other across the table. Neither of us moved. She closed her eyes, fists clenched at her sides. When she opened them again, the fury was gone, replaced by something colder. Controlled. Calculated. You want a divorce, she said flatly. Not happening. And just like that, we entered a war of silence. A cold war between 2 people who once shared everything, now locked in a house filled with tension and words unsaid. I moved into the old house and settled in. I didn't reach out to her. She didn't come looking for me either. Whatever was going on in Vanessa's head, I had no way of knowing. And honestly, I wasn't ready to care. I was waiting, giving myself time to cool off. Time to figure out the most efficient, calculated way to handle this mess. Then, one day, I got a call. It was her assistant, Alice. Mr. Caldwell, she said, cautious, did you and Ms. Sterling have a fight? Alice had been my junior in college. Sharp as hell, fiercely capable. Back then, she kept hitting dead ends trying to land a job, until I recommended her to Vanessa. She'd thrived under Vanessa's wing, made a name for herself. All these years, she never forgot the favor. We kept in touch. Respectful, friendly. But she had never once mentioned Vanessa to me, until now. What happened? I asked. There was a pause. A flicker of hesitation on the line. Ms. Sterling had a dinner meeting tonight. She drank a lot more than usual. I wanted to call you, but someone else showed up before I could. Someone else? Yeah. A man I didn't recognize. He picked her up. Drove her car. My jaw clenched. Without saying another word, I opened my phone and sent her a photo of Daniel. Was it him? A beat passed. Then, yes. That's him. She sounded genuinely worried. Are you okay? I let out a dry laugh. I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. That just confirmed it. Whatever hesitation I had left, it was gone. The divorce needed to happen. Fast. The longer I waited, the more dignity I'd bleed out. And if there's one thing I've never been, it's passive. I act. The next morning, I met with a lawyer and had divorce papers drawn up. Our finances had always been separate, so the agreement was just a formality, clean and simple on paper, if not in reality. When I showed up at the office, Vanessa looked caught off guard. Just for a moment. Then her face went blank. "This is work," she said. "Whatever this is, take it home." Home? Yeah. We'd get there. Just not the way she meant. I pulled out the divorce papers and placed them on her desk. "Sign them. We've got time to hit family court this morning." She stared at the document for a long time. Not touching it. Not speaking. "This why you came?" she finally asked. I didn't bother replying. Some questions don't deserve answers. Then she tore the damn thing in half. Did I not say we're not getting divorced? I said nothing. Reached into my folder. Pulled out a second copy. She ripped it too. So I gave her a third. And she tore that one right down the middle. Again. And again. By the 12th copy, her hands were trembling and her face was thundercloud dark. "You really thought this through?" she asked, her voice low and dangerous. I let out a short, bitter laugh. Would I be standing here playing paper doll with legal documents if I hadn't? She slapped the 13th set of papers onto the desk and scribbled her signature with a sharp, angry flourish. We drove separately to the family court, her car ahead, mine behind. The waiting area wasn't crowded. We didn't wait long. When our number was called, the clerk looked up and asked, "You both sure about this?" I nodded. "I'm sure." Vanessa glanced at me. Her eyes scanned my face, searching for any crack, any hesitation. "And you?" the clerk asked. She looked away, voice flat and cold. "I'm sure." "All right then. I'll file your intent to divorce. As per state law, there's a mandatory waiting period. Once that expires, you'll return to collect the final decree." As the clerk typed, the rhythmic clack of the keyboard filled the silence. And for the first time in days, I felt my nerves start to ease. But just as the clerk was about to finalize the paperwork, Vanessa suddenly spoke. "Wait." The clerk looked up. "Yes?" Vanessa's eyes locked onto mine, intense, unblinking. "Are you really going through with this?" I took a deep breath. "Yes. I am." She stood up so fast her chair tipped over, clattering loudly against the floor. "You really are cold," she spat. And then she turned on her heel and stormed out of the room without looking back. The clerk frowned. "Is she, all right?" I sat frozen for a second, caught off guard, then snapped to my senses and ran after her. "Vanessa! Hey, Vanessa!" She didn't stop. Didn't even flinch. Her heels echoed down the hallway, sharp and fast, like she couldn't get away from me quickly enough. I caught up, grabbed her arm. "What the hell does that mean?" She spun around and slapped me, hard. The sound rang out. I staggered back, stunned. "I'm going to say this one last time," she said through clenched teeth. "I'm not divorcing you." Something in me snapped. What the hell is that supposed to mean? My voice rose. "You're just stringing me along now? Playing games?" She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself, but her eyes burned. "How long are you planning to keep this going?" she said, her voice rising too. All this drama over something that didn't even happen. You moved out, filed for divorce, turned this whole thing into a circus. Why? Because of one night? Because of a man I went to school with? Do you hear how ridiculous this is? You're a grown man acting like a jealous teenager. I'm exhausted. I stared at her. I'm not playing, Vanessa. I'm done. I want a divorce. Why? Her voice cracked with disbelief. Because of Daniel? That's it? Nothing even happened. Nothing. Why won't you believe me? Believe you? I scoffed and shook my head. All right, where's Daniel staying now? The place you arranged for him? He doesn't have a car, right? So you just gave him one of ours? She opened her mouth, but I kept going. Why was he the one who picked you up from that dinner? Why him? Where did you go after that? What happened? I laughed, cold, humorless. Not because it was funny. Because it was so tragically absurd. You know what? We don't even need to go through all this, I said, my voice steady. Let's just talk about that one night. If I hadn't come home early, what would have happened between you two? Nothing, Vanessa snapped, visibly exasperated. I had that hotel booked before anything happened. If you don't believe me, ask anyone. I don't believe you. I said it again. Clear. Final. I don't believe you, Vanessa. It doesn't matter what you say, what proof you shove in my face, I don't believe you. And I'm not here to dig into what happened or didn't happen. I'm telling you the truth as it stands now, I don't trust you. That's it. The one thing I've always been good at is cutting things off, cleanly. Letting go. Walking away. Maybe it's survival instinct. Maybe it's what kept me standing all these years. Because life's never handed me anything soft. And no one, has ever pulled me out of the wreckage. I'm an orphan. My father died in a car crash before I was born. My mother only found out she was pregnant afterward. She hadn't planned to keep me, until my grandparents begged her to. They promised to raise me if she'd just carry me to term. She agreed, on the condition they give her the inheritance and insurance payout from my father's death. They gave her everything. And she disappeared with the money. So I was born. And my mother was gone before I ever knew her. It was my grandparents who raised me. Loved me. Gave me a name. Gave me a life. I don't feel anything for the woman who gave birth to me. No anger. No longing. Just nothing. Because to feel anything would mean giving her power over me. And I learned early how dangerous that can be. When my grandparents passed, one after the other, I became what people politely call, completely alone. It took me a month to mourn, process, and get back on my feet. Someone offered me $100,000 for the house they left behind. I said yes. Everyone called me an idiot, said I was throwing away my legacy. But I knew I couldn't hold on to it. I needed tuition. Rent. A future. So I sold the house and left the only home I'd ever known. That's when I became Ethan. Vanessa didn't explain herself when it mattered. And now, no matter what she says, I won't believe it. I refuse to live suspicious, paranoid, hollowed out by doubt. So I stood firm. I demanded the divorce. But she? She refused, just as firmly. When negotiations broke down, I filed for divorce. And in response, Vanessa retaliated. She moved to sever all contracts with my company. A full-blown financial sanction. I shouldn't have been surprised. After all, Vanessa and I met through work. Back then, I was fresh out of college, running headfirst into the chaos of a startup with a few close friends. We were hungry, driven, convinced we could conquer the world with nothing but grit and caffeine. But reality didn't care about ambition. We had no funding. No network. No name. No one wanted to invest. No one even wanted to listen. We weren't special, we were one of 1,000 desperate teams chasing a dream no one asked for. Just when we were about to throw in the towel and go our separate ways, a company reached out. Said they were open to a conversation. It felt like a miracle. A lifeline. But that lifeline had a hook buried in it. Their executive pulled me aside and said, dead serious. Stick with me for a year. You'll get everything you want. I didn't even hesitate. I told him to go to hell. But he wasn't the type to take no for an answer. Things escalated. Fast. In the chaos, I grabbed a bottle of liquor off the table and cracked it across his skull. Police came. I was arrested. He swore he'd make sure I'd rot in a cell for the rest of my life. I was ready to face it. Already playing out the worst-case scenario in my head. And then, Vanessa showed up. Like some kind of savior. She dismantled the entire mess in less than 48 hours. Got me out on bail. Shut him down. Then sent someone to our team to discuss partnership terms. At first, I thought she was just another elite playing her games, another rich woman buying power with generosity. So when she visited me in that small holding room, I leaned back on the bench, unbuttoned my shirt, and smirked. Want to get this over with now? Or should I shower first? She stepped forward and started buttoning my shirt. One by one. Voice calm. Steady. You don't have to do that, she said. I asked, then why help me? She shrugged. Maybe I just feel sorry for you. And I let her pity me. Because truthfully, that's exactly what I was. Pathetic. Desperate. Alone. From that day forward, with her help, our company began to grow. But now, she was using all of that, our history, our debt, to control me. And I had to admit. It was working. I walked into Vanessa's office and got straight to the point. What do you want? She looked up at me, calm, collected. Withdraw the divorce filing, she said. We stared each other down. No threats. No yelling. Just ice-cold posture and perfectly neutral expressions. I let out a short laugh. That's it? Done. I'll withdraw it. Anything else? You'd think that kind of easy compliance would please her, but it didn't. She frowned, visibly tense. After a moment, she asked, when are you moving back in? That part of the deal too? Her lips tightened into a hard, straight line. Right. Got it. Tonight. I'll pack up and be home by dinner. Happy now? She threw her pen onto the desk. Get out. I gave a mock salute. As you wish. But the second I stepped into my car, the smile slid off my face. I hated this. I hated being controlled. By anyone. Even her. Especially her. I grabbed my phone and made a call. Everyone at the office right now? Good. Tell them to wait, I'm on my way. Emergency meeting. That meeting stretched on until well past midnight. But it didn't go the way I hoped. I proposed a solution. Cut ties. Find a new partner. The market's massive, Vanessa's not the only game in town. If she could pull the plug whenever she wanted, then so could we. But no one agreed. They'd grown too comfortable. Too risk-averse. Vanessa's deal terms were generous. Predictable. Profitable. Unless she walks away, they said, she stays our top choice. I nearly laughed out loud. So that's it? That's where our values split? Turns out we weren't building the same company anymore. They were chasing stability. I was chasing freedom. It was clear to me then, I had to leave. But not yet. Not until I'd secured every dollar I could walk away with. And I would. I just needed time. So I moved back in. When I got home, Vanessa was still awake. She was curled up on the couch, glasses on, laptop in her lap. When she saw me, she took the glasses off. "We need to talk." I walked right past her. "Too tired," I said. "Some other time." Her face fell. I ignored it, heading straight for the guest room. I didn't know which room Daniel had slept in that night. Didn't know what he touched, what he used. Didn't want to know. All I knew was that everything in this house made my skin crawl. In the end, I grabbed a sheet and crashed on the living room sofa. But when I woke up the next morning, there was a blanket over me. My face went cold. I yanked it off and threw it onto the floor like it was contaminated. Vanessa was in the kitchen, making breakfast. I stood up, walked over, and barked, "Who said you could cover me with that?" She froze, spatula mid-air. Took a deep breath before speaking. "I changed all the bedding. It's clean." I clenched my jaw. "It doesn't matter. Everything in this place feels dirty now. Even the air makes me sick." "Ethan," she snapped, sharp and low. "That's enough. He stayed one night. Nothing happened. What exactly are you still raging about?" I looked at her and laughed, dry and cruel. "You want to know? Picture this, I bring another woman home, dress her in your pajamas, hold her close, dry her hair with my hands. You still gonna be calm then? Still feel like nothing happened?" Her eyes lit up with fury. "Don't you dare." I stared her down. My voice, flat and cold. "It's not that I won't. It's that I couldn't. Because I have limits, Vanessa. I don't cross into filth like that." That was the end of that morning. She dumped the entire breakfast into the trash and walked back to her room without a word. Stone-faced. Unbothered. I didn't hold back either. Slammed my door hard enough to shake the frame. And just like that, we slipped back into silence. A cold war with no battles, only the steady hum of unspoken things growing louder by the hour. I was drowning in work, early mornings, late nights, barely time to breathe. Vanessa was just as busy. For days, we didn't even cross paths in the house. During that time, I met with dozens of people, held countless meetings, all centered around one thing: equity transfer. Technically, I should have offered the shares to my partners first. But their loyalty had already spoken for itself. They didn't back me. Not when it counted. So, to protect my value, I looked elsewhere. The one compromise I made? I scattered the shares. Made sure no single recipient had enough stake to wield power. Let them fight over control later, if they wanted. That wouldn't be my problem. Everything moved faster than expected. Wire by wire, deal by deal, I exited. Fully. When the last payment cleared, I was officially out. They were furious. Stormed into my office with red faces and raised voices, throwing accusations like punches. It was pathetic. "I gave you the chance," I said calmly. "You didn't take it. Honestly, this is better. Vanessa and I were bound to blow up eventually, now you won't get dragged down with us." I let my eyes sweep across them. "And don't act like you never wanted me gone." Their gazes scattered. "That's not true," one snapped. "We never said that." I gave a humorless smile. "You didn't have to say it. You're just scared of Vanessa." With the company situation handled, the next thing on my list was settling things with her. But before I could reach her, Daniel found me first. He said he wanted to talk. I agreed, mostly out of curiosity. We hadn't even sat down for a full minute before he started in. Why haven't you divorced her yet? He demanded. Have you no pride? Letting a woman support you like this? How long are you going to keep clinging to Vanessa? I laughed. I actually laughed out loud. And who the hell are you to be asking that? Her what, boyfriend? Side piece? Because last I checked, Vanessa still says the two of you are nothing. Know what that means? It means you don't even qualify as her secret. I looked him up and down, slow, deliberate. And let's be clear. It's not that I won't sign the papers. She won't. That's the whole problem. So if this is the best you've got, maybe you're not as important to her as you think. Daniel's eyes went bloodshot with rage. That's bullshit, he snapped. Vanessa wants a divorce. She doesn't even like you. If it weren't for... He cut himself off. I narrowed my eyes. If it weren't for what? Go on. Daniel's lips curled into a smug, taunting grin. You've really never wondered, he said, voice low and sharp. You and Vanessa, you're from two completely different worlds. So why did she suddenly show up in your life? Why did she help you out of nowhere? You think all that was just random? Just luck? I stared at him. What are you trying to say? He arched his eyebrows. You want the truth? Beg me. I held his gaze for a beat, then gave him a cold laugh. Then keep it. Choke on it if you have to. I stood and turned to leave. Hey! Get back here, he shouted. I kept walking. Ethan. I reached for the door. Wait, he called out, louder this time. Come back. I've got something to show you. I stopped. Then slowly turned, smiling faintly as I walked back to my seat. Now that was the tone I was waiting for. Daniel had lost the smugness. His expression was grim now. Good. We could talk. Without a word, he pulled a photo from his pocket and slid it across the table. That's Vanessa, he said. And her adoptive mother. I glanced at it, half dismissive, until something about the woman's face caught my attention. Vanessa looked maybe 5 or 6 in the picture, tiny, frail, almost unrecognizable. But the woman beside her. My stomach dropped. I'd seen that woman before. Years ago. Back in my hometown, buried at the bottom of my grandmother's old clothes cabinet, under a pile of yellowed sweaters and forgotten scarves, there was a photo. In it were 2 people. One was my father, long dead. The other, my mother, who'd vanished after giving birth to me. And the woman standing next to young Vanessa in this photo, was the same woman from that photo. I stared at it in silence. Up until now, I'd known almost nothing about Vanessa's past. I knew her parents were gone. No siblings. No relatives. Just like me, an orphan. But there was one key difference between us. She had money. I had nothing. Vanessa used to visit her parents' graves from time to time. Once, I offered to go with her. She politely declined. Just a soft, distant "that's not necessary." That answer lingered with me. It made me think twice about bringing her to visit my grandparents' graves, something I'd quietly considered. I didn't bring it up again. Sometimes, I'd find myself wondering, was the way we lived, right? This distant, restrained version of together? But I never found the answer. I had no model for what a healthy relationship looked like. No elders to guide me. No memories to draw from. So I just told myself, this is good enough. And I lived like that, side by side with Vanessa, for 5 years. Now Daniel was telling me, it had all been a joke. A carefully managed illusion. He said Vanessa wasn't just an orphan, the way I was. She was a real orphan, raised in an institution, without anyone. Until she turned 6. That year, a wealthy couple adopted her. They had no other children and raised her as their own. Especially the mother, she loved Vanessa deeply, like she'd always been hers. When Vanessa was 12, her adoptive father died of illness. 6 years ago, her mother was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. She fought for 6 months. Then she was gone too. Daniel's voice lowered as he continued. Before she died, her mother told Vanessa the truth. That she'd had a son, before Vanessa. A son she'd given up. She felt guilty about it to the very end. She made Vanessa promise to find him, and look after him. He stared at me with a warped smile curling on his lips. You know what the worst part is? Back then, Vanessa and I were in love. We were together. And out of nowhere, she breaks up with me. Says she has to fulfill her mother's dying wish. His voice rose, cracking with emotion. Why? Why did she have to do that? She was mine. Her mother's secret? That wasn't our burden. Why did our relationship have to die for some family drama that wasn't even hers? I said nothing. Just looked at him. Then I slowly reached for the photo still lying between us. At the door, Daniel called after me. You are divorcing her, right? I am, I said without turning back. But let me ask you something, are you sure you want to go chasing after a woman who threw you away like that? Who walked out on you the second someone else asked her to? Vanessa. We need to talk. I asked her to meet me at my place. She arrived half an hour late. Tired. Hollow-eyed. She slumped into the couch and muttered, talk about what? Where should I even begin? Screw it, straight to the point. I laid the photograph down on the coffee table, right in front of her. So, your adoptive mother was my biological mother? Vanessa's hand, which had been massaging her temple, froze mid-motion. Where did you get that? I shook my head. Does it matter? Let's talk about what does. Daniel, she whispered, exhaling like the word alone exhausted her. She sank deeper into the cushions. I should have known. He's the only one who's seen that photo. So? I said quietly. Got anything you want to say to me? Silence. Heavy. Long. Just as I began to think she wouldn't say a word, Vanessa spoke. And when she did, it was soft, like peeling open a wound she'd kept stitched shut for too long. My adoptive mother, she was extraordinary. Built her own skincare brand from scratch. Ran it solo. Then she met my father, they got married. He couldn't have children, so she suggested adoption. Vanessa's voice wavered slightly. That's how I came into their lives. She paused, then looked up, directly at me. I was the luckiest kid alive. Being their daughter? It changed everything. But it didn't last. My father passed when I was 12. And years later, my mother, she got sick. Pancreatic cancer. Her eyes didn't leave mine now. It wasn't until then that she told me about you. My throat tightened. She never stopped thinking about you, Ethan. Never. Even after everything. She felt guilty for giving you up, and she tried, God, she tried, to make it right through me. Every kindness she gave me, was her way of repenting. Of loving you, from afar. Vanessa swallowed hard. Her last wish, her only wish, was that you'd live a good life. That somehow, you'd forgive her. She looked down at her hands. I'm sorry. I should have told you sooner. As I listened to Vanessa speak, I waited for something inside me to break. To boil over. To explode. But nothing happened. Just silence. An eerie, unnerving calm. Sorry for your loss, I said softly. 2 words. That was all. Vanessa looked at me, surprised. That wasn't what she expected. That's it? She asked. You don't have anything else to say? I thought about it for a second. All right then, I said. Seeing as we apparently share the same mother, let's end this properly. Split clean. Get the divorce done. Ethan. She said my name, but let the rest hang in the air. After a moment, she continued, more carefully now. You're still angry at her, aren't you? She's gone, Ethan. Can't you forgive her, for the sake of the dead, if nothing else? I sighed. Angry? Not really. Just irritated, I guess. Ethan, shut up. I let out a sharp laugh. Fine. What do you want to hear? That I've forgiven her? That I loved her? That she was the best damn mother in the world and I'm eternally grateful? Would that make you feel better? I leaned forward, voice flat. Hell, if it helps, I'll go stand at her grave and say it out loud. Then I sat back. Now can we talk about the divorce? Ethan. I know my own damn name. Stop yelling it like I don't. She was trembling, whether from anger or emotion, I couldn't tell. I know you're not ready. You're in shock, she said, lowering her voice. We don't have to do this now. Take your time. When you're ready. No, I cut her off. We're talking now. You want me to make an offering every year at your mother's grave? Done. You want a list of conditions? Write them. Just do one thing for me, sign the damn papers. Let me go. Every second I spent in the same room with Vanessa made my skin crawl. It felt like finding half a fly in a sandwich, right after you've already swallowed the other half. I'm not divorcing you, she said quietly. I promised my mother I'd take care of you. Perfect. There it was. The other half of the fly. And I just swallowed that too. Vanessa, I said, my voice low and steady, I didn't want to speak ill of your mother. But you pushed me there. She flinched, brow furrowed, already bracing herself. You said she was impressive. A self-made woman. Built a cosmetics empire on her own. But do you even know where that money came from? Vanessa didn't answer. But I did. It came from my father's death. Her eyes widened. She took everything. The insurance payout. His entire savings. His pension. Every last cent, gone. Your mother took it all. I leaned in. She knew my grandparents would never let her leave with that money, so she lied. Told them she was taking me for a walk. My voice cracked slightly, then steadied again. She left me behind a barn. In the middle of winter. Just a toddler. I nearly froze to death. No, Vanessa whispered, shaking her head. That's not possible. I didn't stop. I don't hate her, I said, flatly. Hating her would be giving her too much space in my life. She's just a stranger to me. Nothing more. But you keep pushing this idea, that she loved me. That she missed me. That she cared. I laughed, bitter and hard. Well, where was she when I was clawing through the mud with my grandparents, trying to scrape together money for food? Where was she when people threatened to sell me off if I didn't sell the house after they died? Where was she when I was being bullied so badly in school I nearly brought a knife to make it stop? Where was she when my tuition and living money were stolen in my sophomore year, when I stood on a rooftop for 3 hours wondering if I should just jump? Vanessa's face had gone ghost pale. I kept going. Don't tell me she loved me. Don't romanticize her guilt. She didn't come back. She never came back. And if she had feelings for me? Then let her carry those regrets straight to hell. Each word landed like a slap. Vanessa's lips parted, but no sound came. There was nothing left to say. I didn't know. We didn't know. Vanessa burst out. She wanted to make things right, for you. She just didn't know how to face you. I let out a hollow laugh. How generous of her. Living a life of comfort, while I get to be the splinter under her skin. What a burden I must have been, huh? Just existing. That's not what I meant. Vanessa snapped, desperate to explain, but explanations weren't her strength, not when it mattered. A sharp wave of emotion surged in me. I pressed my fingers against my temples to steady myself. You people are something else, I muttered. She felt guilty toward me, so she gave it all to you. What, am I dead? Am I a ghost she's trying to make peace with through a surrogate? I looked up at her, eyes cold. She gets cancer, realizes her time's almost up, and instead of facing what she did, she drops it on you like some emotional will. And you? You took it on like a debt. You married me like it was part of the inheritance. I let the sarcasm sink in. What a damn tragedy. I stared at her, really stared. Tell me, why did you think marrying me was the best way to make up for what she did? You think I couldn't get married on my own? You think I was so pitiful I'd be grateful to be picked by you? I laughed again, sharp, bitter. You should have just given me some money. Honestly, that would have done more good. I leaned back, voice flat. Final. Let's divorce, Vanessa. I was born from her body. I have records, birth certificates. If you won't sign, I'll file a claim. I'll drag this into court and contest the inheritance. Don't test me. That day, I said everything. Everything I'd held in for years. Every word no one had ever given me permission to say. Vanessa replied at first, tried to. A few sentences. Then nothing. She just listened. Quiet. Still. And finally, defeated. We both knew. There was no saving this. There was no us left. Divorce wasn't a question anymore, it was an inevitability. I gave her space. 3 days. And on the third day, she nodded. Agreed. This time, she drafted the divorce papers herself. She was generous, almost absurdly so. She handed over most of her assets to me, including company shares and other holdings. I didn't read it carefully. I didn't care much for material wealth. My therapist once told me that was my greatest problem, lack of desire. He said I couldn't muster genuine interest in anything. Not even money. But of course, that made sense. I had no family. No one to call my own. No one waiting for me at the end of the day. He asked me once. What do you want more than anything? What do you truly long for? Because without that, without some burning want, there's no fuel for living. I thought about it for a long time. And then I told him. I want to be loved. That's what I'd been chasing. That's what all the effort was for, the striving, the growth, the self-improvement. I wasn't doing it for power, or success. I just wanted someone to love me. And then Vanessa destroyed it. 5 years of my life, reduced to wreckage. I hated what she did to me. But I couldn't hate her. I couldn't allow her to take up that much space in my heart. I had to remind myself, she helped me once. Whatever her motives were, she pulled me out when no one else did. And that had to be enough. I had to let her go. Let the whole damn thing go. Cut off everything that weighs you down, my therapist had said. And keep moving forward. The one who will love you. They're still out there, waiting. Vanessa and I finalized our divorce at family court. 6 months later, the paperwork arrived. It was done. I decided to leave the city. To start over somewhere new. Daniel left too. Before he left, he said, "What a waste. All those years, I couldn't let go of her. And for what? Turns out she wasn't what I thought she was either. I feel stupid, man. Oh, and I'm sorry. I shouldn't have inserted myself into your life like that. That was wrong. I mean it. I didn't forgive him. I didn't hate him either. He was just someone who showed up during a bad chapter of my life. Tripped me up. Left me dirty and bruised. That's all. I brushed the dust off my coat, stood up straight, and kept walking. I didn't look back. Real heroes never do. They keep their head high, and move forward with pride. When Ethan left the city, it took time, months, for Vanessa to begin understanding what she had lost. To her, Ethan had always been an obligation. A debt to repay. She'd convinced herself that marrying him, giving him resources, surrounding him with material comfort, that was enough. In her eyes, he had always been vague. Flat. Like a shadow printed on thin paper. She never noticed the herbal teas he made when she was sick. Never saw the way he tried to make her laugh when her days got heavy. She missed the silent hope in his eyes. And she missed the disappointment that quietly replaced it. To have kept someone like Ethan beside her for 5 years, while barely seeing him, was a tragedy neither cruel nor kind. Just careless. 3 months after the divorce, Vanessa learned something unexpected. Ethan had been seeing a therapist. Regularly. The doctor didn't share details, ethics prevented that, but he said one thing. For Ethan, life is an uphill battle. But he never stopped trying. He's the bravest patient I've ever had. From that day on, Vanessa began searching. Not to pull him back. Not to apologize. She just wanted to know if he was okay. It took her nearly a year. Finally, in a small, unremarkable town, she saw him. He wasn't alone. He was holding the hand of a toddler just learning how to walk. And in that moment, Vanessa's chest caved in with the quiet ache of finality. She flew there that same night, on instinct, on impulse, on something like regret. And the next morning, for the first time in a long time, she saw Ethan again. He was thinner now. Tanner, too. But somehow, he looked softer. Kinder. As if whatever anger once lived in him had long burned out, leaving behind only warmth. When Ethan saw her, he looked genuinely surprised. Long time, he said. Vanessa, for the first time in her life, didn't know what to do with her hands. Her voice came out quieter than she expected. Yeah. Long time. Her eyes kept drifting toward the child at his side. Did you get married? She asked. Ethan chuckled, a dry sound with no bitterness. Jump right to it, huh? No. I'm not that efficient. Then he added, he's adopted. An orphan. Vanessa felt like her chest had dropped from a cliff, then floated right back up. She exhaled. It was almost ridiculous how much relief she felt. Like she'd just survived something fatal. And it was in that moment, sudden, quiet, undeniable, that she realized what she truly wanted. She still loved him. But Ethan was already shaking his head, almost gently. I'm never getting married again. Her throat tightened. What had she done with all those years? Can I at least come visit? Just to see how you're doing, maybe see the kid? Ethan's answer was calm. But it cut deep. Better not. Otherwise I'll have to move again. And that's a hassle. Vanessa's smile faltered. The loneliness hit her like a wave. Wordless. Heavy. She didn't want to go. She wanted to buy a house nearby. Live just close enough to feel his presence. Maybe catch the sound of his laughter from across a garden fence. But she knew she couldn't do that. So she simply said, goodbye. Ethan gave a faint smile. Take care. But, let's not do this again. He meant it. A week later, he was gone. Left town. Left no address. He took the child and vanished without a ripple. It was his way of saying, "Don't look for me again. Don't try." When Vanessa heard the news, she drank through the night. The pain in her stomach felt sharp enough to drop her to her knees. But she no longer had someone who would brew her medicine. She didn't try to find Ethan after that. All she could do was hope he found happiness.